everybody, today we're going to be reviewing Teavires Premium Bai Mudan. How premium is premium? Stick around to find out. So, Bai Mudan is a white tea. And white teas normally are semi-oxidized. They don't have as much oxidation as your oolongs like we discussed last time, but they still do have some oxidation, unlike your green teas. So like before, I'm going to give you a little background into the tea, and then we'll go straight to the review. Bai Mudan was originally cultivated a little before 1992 in Shuiji County. Today, or Shuiji Township, now known as Shuiji Town. What exactly makes Bai Mudan tea Bai Mudan? Well, the first answer lies in the leaves. Typically, Bai Mudan tea is made with Zhenghe Dabai and Fuding Dabai. So what does that mean exactly? Well, those are both the types of leaf used to make this tea. You might be asking, like, isn't it just Camellia sunalius? What's different? Well, these teas were actually artificially selected, right? And cultivated to get bigger leaves and a more white look to them. So that's why they're called Da Bai, quite literally big white. So what else makes Bai Mudan tea Bai Mudan? There's the actual parts of the leaf that are picked. Bai Mudan is typically made with one bud and two leaves. We look here, we can try to see what, like a lot of these are leaves, and you're gonna get that because this is after it's been dried. But typically what the producers will do, or what the pickers will do, they'll pick one bud and two leaves to go along with it. And this is actually what the name Bai Mudan comes from, because it kind of looks like a flower. You have one bud and two leaves jutting out of it, and if you've ever seen a flower, you know, like it has that little circle thing and then the petals coming out. And this effect is really pronounced after you brewed the tea. The tea bud will actually hold the leaf together, and it kind of looks like it's blooming, like a flower would. So that's why Bai Mudan is sometimes called white peony. So now on to the review of Teavires Premium Bai Mudan, or white peony. So this tea was grown in Taimu Mountain, Fujian, China. And Taimu Mountain is actually a pretty famous mountain. Supposedly, that's where one of the first white tea plants were cultivated, or the Dabai plants, not the actual Camellia sunalius plants. Okay. And this is the 2019 variety. So, according to the 1 year good tea, 3 years medicine, 7 years treasure proverb, we should be in the good. Before we taste the tea, I first want to give you guys a quick look at what it looks like before we brew it. This is going to be the non-white, like the non-flowered version. It's still dry. The leaves haven't folded on the buds yet. So now I'm going to smell the tea. And okay, what I get from it is it's a white tea. So you're going to have that like old book smell to it. It tastes like it smells a little nutty. You get that like subtle nut smell, but you also get like almost like an apricot smell to it also. I saw a review online and I think it really stands out, but it's kind of situational. It's like the smell of cotton being dried out in the sun. And if you've ever like left a t-shirt outside and let it dry, you kind of will get that smell. But really comes out after you brew this tea. You can kind of smell it in its dried form, but personally, it really comes out in the first or second steep. So let's do those first and second steeps. Actually, this is going to be the rinse. We're going to rinse the tea first. We're only going to let it rinse for like 2 to 3 seconds, not too long. You don't want to oversteep it, and then pour. Spilled a little, that's fine. And there you have it. We have our first rinse. As you can see, we do have a little like sediment in there, but it should be fine. But as you can see, since it's a white tea, it's very subtle, very translucent. Like if you were to just have this out in the open, I don't think anyone could tell like the difference between this and like some hot water. And like I said before, you're going to get that really like that cotton, that sun-dried cotton smell, and that nutty smell from the tea. I don't really taste the old, I don't really smell the old book flavor as much, but it's still, there's some hints of it. So, for my final steeping, I am going to be doing this live. Or, it's not really live because I'm recording this and it's going to go on YouTube. But, you get what I mean. So this one is going to be for 150 seconds. So let me get my timer out. 150 seconds. Here is what we are going to be brewing. And you really have to think, or you have to pay attention to the flavors in order to get all of them. But for this particular tea, what I really noticed is when you first get it, and when it first like enters your mouth, you're gonna get like this nutty. It's very a subtle nut, like a very green nut, very subtle green nut, and it almost has, I think, in my experience, it tastes like soy milk. You're gonna get the soy milk flavor, and then as you like, as it settles in your mouth and it travels down your throat, then you're gonna be getting the sweetness. I didn't notice any astringency like the oolong. We're close to that 2 minute 30 seconds. So start up. Oh yeah. Okay. 2:30, here we go. Ooh, we're overflowing. And as I said before, we have a very subtle color to it. Like almost a honey green flavor. Not honey green, but very translucent, yellowish scent. And later as you go on, you really don't notice that old book flavor, that old book scent, like in my first steeping, but you do get those hints of like apricot and that nuttiness, that green nut flavor. So I am going to be serving this to myself. Okay. So like I said before, when it first enters your mouth, you get this nuttiness flavor. I think it resembles almonds or like a soy milk. And then I would say midway, this doesn't always happen. That's what I've noticed. It doesn't always happen. You have to really concentrate. But what I notice sometimes, like midway throughout my tasting, is you do get like this subtle apricot, like vegetal flavor almost. Like, I believe I tasted cucumber one time, although it doesn't happen every time. And then finally, you get that sweetness. I always taste the sweetness, and I've never noticed an astringency. So let me talk about what I noticed over the course of the steepings. Okay. So for the first steeping, I think the first steeping is personally one of the most interesting. You still have that like old book flavor almost, and that's kind of a contrast to the sweetness, which I really enjoyed. But like later on, as your steepings get longer, you really don't taste it. And what I've actually noticed is during the temperature, if you adjust the temperature, if you have it lower than 180, you're going to really emphasize that book taste. And if it's higher than 180, I think it emphasizes the sweetness. So I just finished my second cup, and I'm going to the third. But yeah, what I noticed for this last steeping is it starts to lose flavor. Even though we steeped it for 150 seconds, you still get that flavor loss that happens. So I'm going to be polishing it off. So it really all depends on like what flavors you want to emphasize, and that's how long you should, or that's how high your temperature should be. So I guess it's on to the final. Oh wait, hold on. It's not the final review yet. I actually have a different brewing method to show you. This is an alternate way of brewing Bai Mudan. So I think this is personally the best way to brew it. So first you want to get about, I don't know, 8 to 10 grams of tea in one of these giant teapots with the steeper. Typically you want to use Gong Fu method for your first taste, but afterwards, after you taste the tea and you're like, I really like it, you can use this method. And it works really well for white teas because unlike other teas, white teas don't expand that much. As you saw in my Gaiwan, it barely took any space in the Gaiwan. Compare that to another tea, and it really wouldn't work because these little like foil things don't have enough room for your tea to expand, and you wouldn't be able to unlock a lot of flavors. So once you have that, I like to get this. This is not a real cast iron, but it's decoration. Don't heat anything using this. So we're gonna grab this and we're gonna pour this in. And what I personally like about this method is it really emphasizes the sweet flavor. And you could just keep this like all morning. Like this is normally good for 1 or 2 steeps, but since you're making so much of it, it's gonna last. And I wouldn't recommend one person drinking it all. It's probably good to have like a group of friends, and this can be like your communal teapot. But other than that, it's my favorite. That's all I want to say. It really emphasizes their sweet flavors at the cost of those like that nutty almond soy milk flavor. But I think that's okay, particularly when you're with friends and you just want to have a tea to chill out. You don't want super complex flavors because then you're going to be focusing on your tea and not your friends, which kind of sucks. So that's it, and now we're going to let this steep for about, I'd say 5 to 8 minutes. And in 5 to 8 minutes, you can have an entire morning or afternoon of fun. So, should you buy this tea or not? Really enjoy white tea. You really like that warm cotton flavor with that nutty, the green nuts, that soy milk flavor, and it all goes into that sweet aftertaste. I think this is a pretty good taste for you, or a pretty good tea for you. If you're not really sure, or this is your first time having white tea, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend going for the lower Teavires $9.99 option, seeing if you like that, and then going up. This is $11.90 for 50 grams, and arguably, if you go to any other tea, you can get like 100 grams for the same price. So I would say, figure out if you really like this tea, or if you like white teas before trying this one. As for drinking it every day, I honestly don't see like much appeal if you're like a hardcore drinker, because there's nothing really in here that really separates it from the pack. It's a pretty good deal, $11.90 for premium white Bai Mudan. But other than that, if you really like the tea, white tea, I would say you should try it at least once, and hey, maybe it will end up being your daily driver. But until then, I honestly still think it's perfect for this like mass scale brewing. But other than that, if you're trying to go for maximum flavor, maximum infusion, maximum complexity, you should probably stick to other white teas. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to my tea review. If you liked it, please give me a like and subscribe. I'm always going to be doing tea reviews, so I'll catch you in the next one. And the link for this tea will be in the bio.